Hey, we appreciate you joining us today on this episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. This is sponsored and brought to you every week by CVC Success Group. And our hope is that we're going to give you some ideas, some concepts, things you may have heard us say in the past, but hey, sometimes you got to repeat it to get the word through. So the question is, what is your process? You know, in the past week, I have dealt with a lot of problems and they have ranged from bad reviews, customers that don't understand, product not being there at the time we're ready to install, and we're having a breakdown in our system. So that's why I'm asking you, what's your process? You got to have a process to follow. If you followed us for years, you know I've got three things that I say about processes, about SOPs. When there's a mistake, there's three reasons. And it's up to you as a manager to figure out which one it is. Number one reason, there is no system. There is no SOP. There is no process. Number two, the system you have is wrong. It's got holes in it and things are falling through the cracks because of the mistakes in the system. And number three is you can have the best systems in the world, but if they're not followed, you got a problem. And you got to track and measure and see what's going on. Otherwise, you're dooming yourself to days and days of chaos upon chaos upon chaos. So, Josh, this is one of your favorite subject matters. What's your thought on this need for processes, for checklists, all the other things are involved to make sure things are running smoothly?
Failure to plan is planning to fail, right? Um, I I have and you keep in their checklists for every time an appliance or liner is installed. Worksheets, getting standardizing your data from the jump is one of the biggest ways to ensure that you're getting the right materials. And when I say that is what ways are you collecting the data? Is everybody collecting in the same way? Are you measuring a fireplace the same way? Are you putting it in the same form? Are you what measure if you send out a tech to get measurements, do they know what measurements to get? Do you have a place for them to put that in the same place every single time? That is the first part where you're going to see a lot of failures, because if that information is trying to get back to a salesperson, then the salesperson doesn't understand what's going, isn't going to have good information then to, let's just say, make sure an appliance fits, or if they need to pivot, because so often, as you guys know, you had a showroom too. Well, you may send them out for product A, but you may switch fuels halfway through the process after you talk to the customer. And having all that data, maybe a level 2 or whatever in advance, standardizes that information and allows for a good sales process to start.
Yeah, I understand. Cheryl, what about you? What's your thoughts on the matter of having the right processes and following them and holding people accountable to the process?
Well, you clicked on exactly what I was going to say. You can have the best process out there. It can be immaculate. It can be a whole computer full of processes. But if your people don't give you the information correctly, if you don't hold them accountable for getting what you need, it really doesn't matter how nice your process looks in writing.
Right. It's kind of like a sales process. If you talk to any sales coach, anybody that talks to you about how to make your sales better, one of the things they're going to talk about is the process to follow. And I want to stop right here and talk for a minute on step one of the process. What do your technicians do when they arrive at a house? Are they in a hurry to get it done? Or are they spending time building trust and a relationship with your customer? And this is a big thing, because often your customer is not going to understand what they're going to be doing. Also, are you sure you're covering what their needs are? What are their expectations? Unless you spend some time in what we call the discovery process, you're going to have failure. You're going to end up with dissatisfied customers because they're going to think you didn't do everything they expected. And in today's world, the expectations of customers are getting higher and higher and higher all the time. They get disappointed every single day. I saw somebody upset today because they had went to a Burger King and they ordered a hamburger and said, hold the onions and hold the pickles. Took the hamburger home, and what it do? Had pickles and onions on it. Pickles and onions on it. So they called the Burger King. And the Burger King said, well, just take the onions and pickles off. That's not a good answer. Let's face it. How would you feel if you had specified what you want? Cheryl, is there cases you can think of when you're disappointed as a consumer?
When you order something, it comes back wrong as a consumer. When one of the things as a consumer, someone trying to oversell me the product and then not explaining the product that I really need. They're trying to sell their particular product. But, yeah, I don't know any of us have not gone to restaurants and got the wrong thing. But I don't know what you do at that point. Part of it, you just suck it up and deal with it. Or either if it's a place somebody needs to know, you need to let them know. I mean, most of the people see where they screw up in the reviews, not from the customer directly or from their gentlemen or ladies. They just see it in the reviews. And when that happens, you're a day late and a dollar short because everybody else has seen it also. And it could be just one of the simple processes that didn't work.
Yeah. Josh, what about you? Do you have expectations of businesses that you do business with of what they need to provide?
Yeah. I mean, I expect the carpet cleaner to provide his own chemicals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I expect the electrician to provide all his materials as well. Whenever I have stuff done, or someone to provide all their equipment. I expect the cable guy's going to have everything he needs to fix my cable the first time he comes out.
Okay.
Stuff like, those are expectations. I expect them to be on time. That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I had the very first appointment at the doctor's this morning at 7 a.m. and at 7:40, I'm asking what happened. Why am I still sitting here? And they had forgotten me. I don't know how they forget me, but something was wrong with their processes this morning at the doctor's office.
Yeah. Well, but let's give a thing. Let's talk about something here. Let's go. We're all familiar with the chimney sweep industry, and this is a complaint that came up this week. Should a consumer expect the chimney sweep to clean out the ashes in the ash dump, Josh?
No.
Okay. But how do we get that message across?
It's homeowner maintenance, or we charge by the bucket.
Okay. But is that something that needs to be in the explanation? Because what if the consumer's expecting that?
I don't know how you convey that without a 10-minute message or a YouTube video or something like that shows. But no, I don't. I would be doing clean outs, but definitely not an ash pit. An ash pit can be, hell, I've seen ash pits that are 14 foot tall.
Right. I know. I understand. I'm just saying, we've got to address what the customer's expectations are. We've got to tell them, and that's part of the discovery process of telling the consumer the things that we're going to do while we're there and asking, is there anything else that you need us to do while we're here? Is asking that question in the discovery process. Let's bring up another one. I saw a bad review come up in the last 2 weeks because the sweep did not take the ashes out of an open fireplace. Tell me what your thoughts are on this.
Yes, I would be taking, and that's a presentation thing.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. But
it's like doing a gas fireplace and you don't clean the louvers. Is that technically part of the cleaning? No, but does it look better? Yeah. And how long did it take me? It only took me 2 minutes to wipe down the louvers, and it looks a lot better.
Yeah, it's like cleaning the glass. It's like oiling the screen, if a curtain type screen, oil in that bar so the screen moves smoothly. It's the expectations of the customer. And I think that's where we mess up a lot. We don't have a system to actually communicate and find out what that customer's expectations are. Then we leave there, and then next thing happens, we've got a bad review online.
Yeah.
And we all know when somebody gets a bad review, Cheryl, their blood pressure goes up, doesn't it?
Quite a bit.
It does. The blood pressure rises up and just goes through the roof right then and there.
Can I ask a question while we're on this?
Sure.
How many customers would know what an ash dump was if you told them, or if they had one?
Yeah.
Very.
Okay.
And I can tell you, in my market, they're few and far between. But if you go up north, they're much more common.
Yeah. So let's put this up. I got a comment came in from a guy. And Edward says the ash dump is not part of the functional system. And that's something, and I think this is clear, I make clear before I start. I also educate my phone rep to clarify these things to avoid issues later on. And that's what I'm getting at here. We've got to have this communication with the customer to set the expectations for the job. I mean, if you were hiring somebody to come out and mow your yard, are you expecting him to weed eat?
Well, I don't have any weed eating to do. My yard's set up specifically not to.
Okay. But if you did, because my yard does have a lot of weed eating.
Yeah.
I
took down the fence for that reason.
Yeah. Do you expect him to pick up the limbs that have fallen out of your trees?
Yeah, I would. How else are you going to mow?
That's it. And that's what I'm talking about, where you've got to build a process of communication with the customer to set the expectations of what they're going to get today. And if we don't ask to find out those expectations, how are we going to know that? The comment he just made, we're explaining that in our discovery process. The discovery process is the first thing we're doing at a job site. We're introducing ourselves, getting to know a little bit about the customer. We're setting the stage for trust and building a relationship. And setting the stage for those two things is key in the sales process. Cheryl, you agree or disagree?
I agree. That's exactly where they're at. And the people need to, if they find something like that, if it hasn't been discovered before, that they alert the customer before they don't do it. I think that may have been the problem at the other place. They didn't tell them that there was, a dump there, and they didn't do it. So I think in part of your process is you just have to be totally transparent and let the customer know what's going on, what they've got, because most people don't have a clue anything about it. I mean, you say damper, they don't know what a damper is. So it's the selected things that people don't know, I believe, that causes quite a bit of the confusion. And yeah, would it have been an extra charge if you had done it? But they need to know that prior to.
Right. And that's my whole point, is in your process that you set up, you've got to set a process up that works. It covers the bases. It prevents the chaos from occurring. So Josh, can we just write a process and tell everybody in one time they're going to follow it?
No. I saw a thing the other day. It took Chick-fil-A over a year to switch to saying "my pleasure."
Okay.
And I don't know if I don't think anybody will say that any fast food restaurant has better systems than Chick-fil-A.
Right.
So, no, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take multiple touches. So let's just say for wood insert sales, if you're instituting a checklist, you're going to have to force the salesperson repeatedly, and then some, and then you're going to hit them with a hammer to get them to use the checklist.
Yeah, you've got to hold your people accountable to the checklist. Again, one of the biggest problems with it is with systems is that people don't follow the systems. They've got to understand the value of following the system. And if they don't follow the system, hey, changes may have to occur in the business. So, Cheryl, anything else you want to add to this broadcast today about processes, systems, SOPs?
The thing I would say is number one, have them. Okay. Number two, hold your people accountable for using them.
Okay. Josh, what about you? Anything else you want to add in?
Definitely the accountability. Someone has to be the gatekeeper, and then don't be afraid. Once you write it, be prepared to edit it. I can tell you some of my checklists for let's just say wood inserts, because a new salesperson would always find a new way to challenge me in a way I didn't think possible. They're on version 10, version 12, some of these. Some of it's good pushing, some of it's, you need to be fired. So it's don't be afraid they're not set in stone. Review them on the regular and see if it's still relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, some salespeople don't ask if there's an old wood insert that we need to remove. And, that's 2 hours of labor that's lost because we didn't ask a question.
Yep.
I learned that early on.
So here's our advice. If you've got mistakes happening, you've got chaos going on, you have disappointed customers, you got to look at your processes, look at your SOPs, look at the processes, and keep in mind the following, the three things I mentioned earlier. When there's a mistake, when there's chaos, it's usually going to be attributed to one of the following three. Number one, it could be there is no system. What does that mean? We've got to add it to our SOPs. Number two, your SOP may be wrong. They're not in stone. They've got to be modified at times. There can be mistakes. And number three, someone somewhere in your organization simply did not follow the process. And this is where the accountability comes into play. The training is required. But one of the bad things is you're going to have to learn to say it over and over and over, or you're not going to get the message through. So hopefully this has given you some help today. Let us know how we can assist you from CVC Success Group. Just reach out to us anytime. We'd be glad to have a conversation, help you get farther along on that journey to your business dreams. And with that, we hope every single one of you has a fantastic Christmas in the week ahead. And we'll talk to you on the next episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. We appreciate you joining us today. Have a fantastic holiday ahead.